When you create a goal for yourself, what's the key? What's the most important factor in successfully achieving that goal? Like, what is it? Like drive, determination, motivation? Yeah, all of those are factors. But to me, the most important one, the key to successfully achieving your goals is time. You have to give yourself adequate time to successfully achieve your goals. Like there's no, I mean, if you can tell yourself, my goal is to lose 10 pounds in the next 2 weeks. But if you know you already have a hard time losing weight, 2 weeks isn't enough time probably. Maybe give yourself 3 weeks. Adequate time to successfully achieve your goals. That's widespread. I mean, you can get out here and say, I'm a beef up in the gym and I'm gonna do all these things. I'm gonna make these goals for myself, but if you don't give yourself the time needed to successfully achieve that goal, then you're basically just wasting your time. And look, think about it. You put a goal out there to lose weight. I use that as an example. And then if you don't make the goal, I mean, it's kind of a letdown. It can kind of, kill your motivation. It could be a motivation killer, basically. So yeah, to me, that's the most important thing in achieving your goals is giving yourself adequate time to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ACS Universe podcast. This is episode 5. I'm ACS, and we're doing some Game of Thrones talk once again. Season 8, episode 4, The Last of the Starks. And to be honest, I like that name, by the way, too. I do like the title of the episode. You know how I do on these podcasts. I just get on here and I talk. I jump around. I talk about the episode. I give brief feelings on certain scenes in the episode. And plus, most of you guys who will listen to this probably saw my reaction to the episode. And so you pretty much know my feelings on it. This is just me elaborating a little bit more on certain things that happen. I'm going to start off with, I had this episode ranked somewhere between 7 and 8. Could be a 7.5 out of 10. Who knows? But it's just, there's some problems that I had with it. And I'll get to those problems shortly. But there's some things that I just, overall, it was a good episode. Overall, to me, this is my opinion. It was good, but there were some things that were wrong with it. Got to start it off the way I started off most of the time. If somebody has been killed during the episode, rest in peace, Missandei. She's a great character, man. She wasn't my favorite, but she's like one of those rock type characters who stood by who they held their allegiance to, like Sir Davos. He's like a rock type character. He stands by who he stands by no matter what. And that's what Missandei did, man. She had one of the most uncomfortable scenes in the entire series, her and Grey Worm up in there. Yeah, very uncomfortable. But, so she was a good character, though, well written. And so I just have to say, I'm happy you were a part of the show. Sad to see your character leave, but yeah, she's gonna fall in that line with classic Game of Thrones characters who have died, and it's just so that leads me to start it off. I mean, the episode started off great. That scene is like a funeral. They burned in the dead. It was like so epically shot. I like the smoke billowing, everybody's reaction. Everybody got to say like these last goodbye to these characters that they loved. And so, it's crazy that you don't realize until you actually see it, especially in episode 2 when Theon shows back up, how much Sansa really loved that dude, right? Like you don't really realize it until that. And then you see her over his body and she sets fire to him, Jon to Lady Mormont, and to Daenerys to Jorah. And so forth and so on. And so they burn the bodies. And that was a great, great opening scene. Just saying final goodbyes to these characters that we love, that we didn't like, that we didn't want to see go in episode 3. All right. And so then after that, they having this celebration, and Daenerys, acclaims him Lord Gendry, a little exciting, it's cheer-worthy moment in the series. And it's good because what they just went through, it's time to let off a little steam. They're getting out there, they drinking, dirty jokes, all the shit you come to expect from like whenever there's anything like that had been in this series it's like that. And so, yeah, they're having fun, they're celebrating. There's a scene where Sansa sits down and talks to the Hound. That's really cool. And he's basically like, you should have let me save you. She was like, if I had to let you save me, I wouldn't be as strong as I am now. And she's telling the fucking truth because she'd still be the little bird. And then afterwards, of course, you see Jaime make his way to Brienne's chambers. You know what I'm saying? You know what he's there for. Talking about, oh, I'm warm. I need to take my shirt off. Fool, shut up. you in here trying to smash right now. So we everybody knew that, like right off the rip, as soon as he knocked on the door. And then he tries taking her stuff off. Classy how they didn't show Brienne's like her chest, her boobs, because I didn't want to see that. Just it kind of takes something from the character. Daenerys coming in there talking to Jon, and she's, talking about, I wish, please don't tell nobody, keep it a secret. And he's like, I wish there's another way. She's like, yeah, I did tell you the way that we can stay together is you shut the fuck up and don't tell nobody. And I'm like, ooh, it's kind of harsh there, And so after that, then they had their little meeting, their little, where they're pushing pieces across the war tables is what I call them. And they're deciding what they're going to do next and telling their stories. And everybody's, and I'm going to say this. This is the first time I'm going to say this. This ain't going to be the last time throughout this podcast. Why the fuck you going back to Dragonstone? Okay. And then, so the meeting goes and Jon stands up for Daenerys in front of his sisters. They get all fucking pissed off. You see how they was looking at him though? Like they was staring holes in Jon's fucking chest. Right? So meeting's over with. They decide to go back to fucking Dragonstone. Anyway, meeting's over with. Arya's like, hey, we need to have a word. You know what I'm saying? Because you in here, like, taking her side over your family. That shit doesn't go down like that. And not in fucking Winterfell. So we need to talk to you for a second. So they go talk, and Jon explains, which is the real truth. If it wasn't for her, they'd all be fucking dead. Like, if it wasn't for her, they'd all be fucking dead. But also, if it wasn't for Arya, they'd probably all be fucking dead. So you got to give them both credit. But I see where Jon's coming from. And Arya's like, I respect that. And, talking about it. And then she's like, you're our brother. He's like, no, I'm not your brother. She's like, no, you're not the bastard. And he's like, nah, like, I'm legit not your motherfucking brother. Like, let me explain. And then Bran's over there just straight up creepy, right? Like, the choice is yours. And I'm like, oh shit, he's about to fucking tell him. Even though Daenerys was like, don't tell him, he's about to fucking tell him. So he comes up, he makes some promise and all that shit. And then this is key. I don't know if anybody picked up on this. Bran's the one that tells him. He's like, tell him. He's like legit kept his word. He didn't fucking tell. Bran told him. So however this news travels after that, it's all fucking started from Bran. Not kind of him, but he legitimately, technically did not tell it the way she told him. Do not tell it. So he's still innocent in that right there. Once again, why the fuck you go back to Dragonstone? Okay, so anyway, if you noticed, if you were paying attention throughout my reactions, you notice that there's a scene missing, like an entire scene missing from there. I try to put little pieces of every scene, especially important shit, but this scene pissed me the fuck off. And so I just straight cut it from my entire reaction. The BRONN scene, that was some straight bullshit, okay? This is just my opinion, remember that. This is me talking about how my feelings on that part. That little scene, as I've watched it again and again, is fucking stupid, okay? So, yeah, so BRONN shows up. First of all, he comes in there, talks shit to him, bullies him a little bit, right? And then he ends up with fucking Highgarden. What the fuck is that shit? How the fuck did he even get in there, right? How did he sneak through Winterfell with that fucking crossbow, at that big ass crossbow at that, and get all the way in there and find him? I mean, I know he's a good fighter. He's been a good fighter throughout this fucking series, but as ninja, I think of him as not. So that whole scene, that scene can kiss my ass. To me, it just didn't make sense. That could have been cut out and the episode wouldn't have been that fucking long. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, whatever. And then so the next morning, you got the Hound dipping out and he looks over there. Oh, for fuck's sake. I love that. Arya's creeping up on him on the horse and they're about to, go down the road together like old times. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoyed that scene. I thought it was great. They both have these like singular missions to go back there, but they kind of, the missions are kind of joined at the hip, considering that the mountain, is joined at Cersei's hip. So it's like, if they're going to kill them two people, it seemed like it would happen together. But I'm sure it's not, because, well, we're getting if we don't get Clegane Bowl, that's really going to change my feelings about this series, because that's everything right now. You know what I'm saying? And then they're sitting on top of the wall. Sansa's watching everybody leave. The dragons are dipping the fuck out. Tyrion comes up and says some stuff to her. She's like, your brother always told me he wasn't a Stark and all this bullshit. And she's like, straight tells him. And by the way, I really, really wanted to hear BRONN tell them that shit, because he was going to go back to the very beginning. You know what I'm saying? Our Aunt Lyanna and blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't kidnapped. She was in love. And he would have told it like that. You know how BRONN tells a fucking story? Anyway, I wanted to hear Sansa tell him. They're not, you don't get to hear anybody tell anybody Jon's real fucking identity, like who the fuck he really is. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm sure they did that for a reason, but I would have loved to hear BRONN tell it because it would have been sweet. Then, man, everybody's saying goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Jon saying goodbye to Tormund, man, saying goodbye to Gilly, Sam. You know what I'm saying? And then, first off, I wonder why they're all saying goodbye. Like, if they go up there and win, and then whenever one of them takes the fucking Iron Throne, he can't come back up north and fucking visit? Like, he can't come holler at his boy Sam? He can't holler at Tormund and say, hey, man, let's drink a few together? Like, he's stuck down there? I refuse to fucking believe that shit. Like, I don't understand why the goodbyes were so much like, I'll never see you again type of goodbyes. And in the moment that probably, the more I thought about it, probably pissed me off more than any other in this fucking episode. First off, Ghost has survived so much. I feel like they're leaving him by the wayside. That's one of my knocks. And then Jon just says, here, take Ghost. He belongs in the north. Man, that's your fucking dog. Like, that's not just a pet. Like, that's one of your homeboys, right? He's been there since the fucking very beginning. And you're going to be like, take him to the north. And then, on top of all that, on top of take him to the north, all the goodbyes, he hugged Gilly. And then even pet my boy Ghost. Shake my head in disgust. All those memes I've been seeing, the face you make when you see that Jon didn't pet Ghost goodbye. Yeah. That was my times a million. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck do you do that? Ghost, oh man, it was so heartbreaking to me, especially after I've seen it a couple more times. Like, he legit didn't. He just looked at Ghost and didn't even nod his head like, what's up, man? Or I'll see you sometime soon. He just looked at him and looked away like he was disgusted with Ghost. Like, what the fuck is going on with that shit? Right? Anyway, let me calm back down off that, because I can talk on that for fucking ever. You know I'm a pet guy. I got pets and shit. There ain't no fucking way that I could just piece out my dog without fucking at least 2 pets to the dome piece, man. Two pets on the head, man. You know what I'm saying? Let me see the tail wag a couple times. And then maybe I can leave without you. But that was some motherfucking bullshit, man. Once again, why the fuck did you go back to Dragonstone? I do not understand it. Is when they said it, I kind of caught it in my head and I was thinking, did they just say they're going back to Dragonstone? Cersei's not in fucking Dragonstone. If that was supposed to be the next thing that they did. Dragonstone, you could have fucking waited at Winterfell until you got the signal from Jon and them that it was cool to fucking ride south and goddamn fuck Cersei up. But Dragonstone, it's another one of my knocks, because when they killed that fucking dragon, Rhaegar, I can't remember if it was Rhaegar, that shit, legitimately, I felt that arrow go through my fucking heart. And so, please, I hope the showrunners didn't break them to Dragonstone so they can do that big set piece. It was, what the fuck did you go back to Dragonstone for? There was no reason for it. No reason at all, except for that shit to happen, right? Go back to Dragonstone, dragon gets killed, they fuck up all your ships, which I have to say, that scene with Tyrion on the deck, shit blowing up around him, that one continuous scene, that shit was tight. It was tight. Shouldn't have happened though, because he shouldn't have went back to fucking Dragonstone. And now, after that shit, Cersei ends up with Missandei. Shouldn't have went back to fucking Dragonstone. I will never be able to figure that out unless they legitimately come and say, we decided to go back to Dragonstone because of this. And then it probably still won't make any fucking sense. So Cersei has Missandei, then they get in there talking afterwards. Lord Varys sounded real treasonous. You know what I'm saying? He's in there like saying all this shit to Tyrion. Like, and I get Lord Varys. Like, I get Varys because he fights for the people. He's the only character on this show who actually fights for the fucking people. I'm sure Daenerys, she fights for people too. Like, she'll to a certain extent, but Varys fights for the people who live on the fucking streets who ain't got shit. So I understand where he's coming from, but he sounded real treasonous. And I remember Missandei said he was going to die. So, hey, he's got a part to play in all this too. So we'll see what happens. And how the fuck did they find out? I've been questioning this all day and yesterday. How the fuck did Cersei and Euron and all of those motherfuckers from King's Landing find out that they were going back to Dragonstone? Somebody out here snitching, man. Somebody's out here, running their mouth. And it could have been Varys, could have been. Who fucking knows? But there's no fucking way they find out and they're waiting for him like that. Nah. Somebody's telling that shit. There's no, I have a hunch that Daenerys might be headed back to Dragonstone. No, there ain't no fucking hunches. Somebody fucking tells them. And then, once news gets back to Winterfell about what happened, fuck Jamie going? Jamie gonna leave and say some foul shit. Oh, I'm just as bad as my. No, the fuck you ain't. Hopefully, this is my hope, is that he's going back to damn King's Landing so he can fucking kill Cersei. That's the only thing I can think of. That has to be the reason. If you're going back there to comfort, to make sure your sister's safe, then fuck you, Jamie, and fuck all the praise I've given to you over these past few seasons. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just, he can't go out like that. He has to be going back there to kill Cersei, to stop whatever from happening. And so, yeah, and plus, when he gets back there, I got a feeling shit's gonna go down, because like, Euron thinks he's the daddy, Jamie thinks he's the daddy. Like, who's the fucking daddy for real? Me, I've been keeping firm to I don't believe she's pregnant at all. You know what I'm saying? But that remains to be seen. Then they pull up there, they're at King's Landing, and it's like this big, huge scene. The Daenerys has this little small army out there. The wall is lined with those fucking spear shooting things, crossbows that took out the dragon and shit, right? Just all over the fuck, just the wall just lined with them. So they really can't do shit. You got Drogon back there in the back, straight, I don't know if he's licking his wounds, picking fleas out of his damn scales or whatever the fuck he's doing. He's just chilling back there. They up there talking. Kyber weird ass comes out, say some shit about, yes, the sound of children screaming is, it is bad. I'm like, motherfucker, have you heard children burn to death before? See, man, Kyber's fucking crazy. Weird ass. I can't stand his ass, to be quite honest. Anyway, so Tyrion, are talking a big ass thing, Tyrion's come up there begging her, and then she says that shit, if you have any last words, now's the time. And I knew at that fucking point, she's gonna die. She's gonna die. And then you legit see it in the background. Her head fall, then her body fall off the fucking wall. What the fuck? What the fuck? And thinking about it, when Tyrion walked up, he was walking up to, talk to Cersei, and all of those archers started pulling their arrows. I was like, oh shit. Like, I legitimately thought he was about to catch a body full of arrows. You know what I'm saying? And then Cersei lowered her hand, and whatever happened, and they didn't do it. They took their arrows down, and then of course what took place, Missandei dying, Grey Worm, I felt super bad for him. Daenerys is just losing like people she loves left to fucking right. And look, another thing, man. I don't want to see Daenerys turn into the mad fucking king like her father was. And it just seems like now that this is just me thinking ahead. Like, it just seems like they could be trying to take her character down that path. I really hope not, because she was supposed to be different, right? She was supposed to change, break the wheel is what they always said, break the fucking wheel. And it just looks like, man, I hope not. It just, for a small bit of me, thinks that that's where they're going with this. Because if next episode she shows up and just straight cooks King's Landing, that's going to be crazy. All right, let's talk about this, the little teaser for episode 5, right? I've just seen so much shit online right now. People spotting dragons in that bitch, like more than one. Like, and then I can't remember who posted this shit. Somebody close up of one of those spears or whatever that is in the Game of Thrones intro, and there's 4 dragons on there. I never knew that before. Chasing the fucking comet, which my wife thinks is what's coming in this next episode, which is a good theory, and we have to wait to see if that shit plays out. But yeah, so those are my thoughts, man, on the episode. You see, 7.5 out of fucking 10. There's just some things that just irk me, man. And now talk a little bit about some other shit. So about 3 hours before the show airs on Sunday, I'm getting ready for my reaction, getting stuff prepared, fucking around on my phone, doing what I do, catching a little bite to eat, man, having a few drinks or whatever. And so I'm messing around on my phone, and I run across this YouTube video, right, of this dude. It doesn't show the dude. It just shows like clips from like this season of Game of Thrones, more specifically episode 3. And dude is just ripping that. He is killing Game of Thrones. I'm talking about destroying it. Like, just every bad thing you could say about this season and last season, he was doing it. And I mean, and I'm like, and look, I respect people's opinions, right? I'm one of those people. Like, if you don't like the show and I like it, I won't try to beat you in the face with the show. At the same time, respect it. And see, that's what's wrong with like social media today and opinions, is that somebody can't say, oh, I feel different than you, man. Have a nice day. They got to say, you're so fucking stupid for feeling that way. You know what? You know how stupid you are because you like that. That's legitimately social media. Currently, like right now, like people can't just go about their business without liking something. They have to tell you how dumb you are because you like it, or how shitty you are because you dislike something. And that's what's wrong with it. So I respect opinions, and I So I'm reading and I'm not getting mad, and then I'm just reading, and then I go to the comments. And as I listen to the video, the dude talking, I'm reading, and there's like 300 plus fucking comments, and they're all ripping Game of Thrones, talking about everything from the writing is bad to the fucking pacing of the show to just anything you can think of. Any complaints you've heard about Game of Thrones, especially in season 7 and this season, I read it during the thing. That's when I started getting a tad bit pissed off, because some of them were talking about, yeah, I ain't watched Game of Thrones in 2 seasons. Dude, you're commenting on a video that is talking about season 3 of episode 8 of Game of Thrones. Why are you doing that if you hadn't watched it in 2 seasons? Fucking lying. See, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about. People boastfully saying shit like that. And I'm like, look, the thing is, all of these people complaining about the show, talking, I mean, if you would have read some of these complaints, you would have been like, God dang, man, they really, I guarantee you they had their asses planted on the couch Sunday night at 9 watching episode 4. If you're going to talk that much shit about it, don't fucking watch it no more, right? If you dislike it that much, don't fucking watch it no more. So that way I don't have to look around and see your comments dissing the next episode that you watch, even though you fucking straight hate the fucking, the direction they went in the past 2 seasons. And so that's what it seemed like when you're reading all of this shit. Like, that's your goal. Is that your goal? Is to convince as many people as you can to not watch Game of Thrones? Is it because, you felt like you were one of the few fans, like, in season 2 and 3, and now there's so many fans, you feel like you got to hate on it? Is that your goal? That's your goal out here, is to make me dislike Game of Thrones, or make the next person who loves this series dislike Game of Thrones? That's a lofty goal, man. It's an impossible goal to reach, right? Like, you don't even need to worry about the time in that manner. That's a huge, that's a huge goal. And it's impossible, because I will never hate this series. You know who else had huge goals? Who had lofty goals? D&D. If you don't know who D&D is, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, they're the writers, showrunners, creators of the actual series Game of Thrones, whatever you want to call them. They run things behind the scenes. So all decisions made on the show, they make the show. They make those decisions. And they had a goal. They had a goal. And I agreed with the goal first time I heard about it. I think it was midway through season 6 or after season 6. They said, you know what? Our goal is to have 8 seasons. We're going to end this after 8 seasons. That's our goal. And it was a good goal, because if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you know how I feel about the great series, the Breaking Bads, the Sopranos. They know when to call it quits. They know when not to lead you on out. And I'm going to use this example as I've used it before, the fucking Walking Dead. The Walking Dead used to be my favorite show, my favorite series. And then they just dragged it out too much. I hadn't watched The Walking Dead in 2-3 seasons. They just dragged it out too far. The story got stale. And so when Game of Thrones, when they announced that we're going to stop after 8 seasons, I said, sweet. You know when to call it quits, because this is a great series. That was their goal. That was their goal, was to finish this thing up in 8 seasons. But you know how I feel about goals, right? The key to successfully achieving your goal is giving yourself adequate time to do so. And therein is where I feel they might have made a mistake. Now, they're going to complete their goal. There's going to be 8 seasons, and 2 more Sundays, the Game of Thrones will be done. Not talking about the prequels and all that stuff, but the original Game of Thrones series will be done in 2 Sundays. But did they successfully complete their goal, achieve this goal? Did they successfully do it? These last 2 episodes, there's a lot riding on that. Because, see, when they decided that season 7 would only have 7 episodes and season 8 would only have 6, you have to call it in question. I mean, did they give themselves adequate time to successfully achieve their goal of ending Game of Thrones? Successfully now, not just end it, but end it in a satisfying way. Because we could have had 7 more episodes had they gave us 2 more complete seasons. If 7 and 8 would have been complete 10 episode seasons, there would have been a lot more time. Stuff would have been rushed. So when I look and I see all of these complaints from people, all of these everything I've seen, all the complaints I've seen, they all boil down to one little small little thing. Did they give themselves adequate time to successfully end this series? Because all the rushed stuff and all of that, every complaint I've heard seems like it could have been at least quieted or lowered or kind of fixed if they had gave us 2 complete seasons at the end. So only time's going to tell 2 more episodes left, and we'll see if indeed D&D gave themselves adequate time to successfully achieve their goal. This has been the ACS Universe podcast. I don't know if I'm gonna get to holler at you guys next week. I got a lot of shit going on. I will be doing a reaction to Sunday's episode and try to get it out there as soon as possible. But hey, post in the comments. Tell me what you think about this podcast. Until next time, ACS Universe podcast out.